Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lifeboat, and welcome to Blessed to Crochet. Welcome, Sandy, and welcome everybody that's going to be coming in. Now, I picked this topic because of the little doggy on the thumbnail of this, because I really thought about this the other day as we were taking this dog to the vet. How much we tend to put up walls. Hi, Shelly Kelly, how are you? How much we tend to put up them walls. And I thought that this was a great topic to talk about. One that I think is not talked about enough is how we tend to put up them walls. So, hi, Flem Wad. How are you doing? Welcome to the Lifeboat, Blessed to Crochet. So, I thought this would be a good topic because I really thought about that for a moment. Now, just a little history behind Mocha. Mocha is actually my daughter's dog. She is a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. She's in the bully breed. So automatically, that gives Mocha 100% literally, hi, Nicole, literally a mark against her before she even enters outside world, because everybody looks at her breed. They look at the Staffer, and I'm going to call her Staffy. It's the Staffy and the bully breeds, and automatically go, oh, danger. And so it's automatically a strike in the world out there. Hi, Miss Sunrise Dawn. And it's automatically kind of this mark. And so there's some misunderstandings and some misconceptions when it comes to staffies and pit bulls. They do not have, in the bully breed, they do not have lockjaws. It all comes down from, how they're raised, the breed, and all that kind of stuff. But it also kind of comes to people that have had addictions. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about people dealing with addictions in our world. Oh, they're this or they're that. Well, they have a, an illness. And if we don't address it that way, if we don't look at it that way, sometimes there can be a misconception when it comes to that. Now, Mocha's story is that she was probably, from what we can understand, or probably, I guess, think of or assume, that she was actually taken. Okay. All right. Thank you. I will. I'll call on you if I need you. Um, she was taken, most likely, from what we can kind of tell, from her mother, probably too early, so she wasn't socialized. She wasn't taught how to be a dog properly. And then she was put into a home where she was actually teased by neighborhood kids. I think they were probably wearing a hoodie, and which we've had to kind of desensitize her to that. And she was actually held by the collar and choked by neighborhood kids that thought it was funny. And then she was rescued out of that to put into another home where she was abused. So that is where we got her when she was probably about a year and a half. So she had a lot of negativity within the first year and a half of her life. The world was scary. The world was people, hands were things that were going to be hurtful. I need to put my walls up. I need to protect myself. I need to show people I can bark and I can be mean and I can show my teeth and look like I'm going to, come because I'm just scared. Everybody that has come around me has done nothing but hurt me. So she put her walls up. And we've taken about 2 years since we've got her. She was a year and a half to really, really, um, really, really, yes, it's true. They're loving, but they're scared of everything. Really be able to give her lots of love and caring, and get her to realize that hands are not hands of hurt. They can be everything hurt or any or love. They can be hands of love. So when we moved up to where we are located now, we always struggled finding a vet that was willing to take on Mocha, because getting a muzzle on this dog wasn't going to happen. She wasn't, of course, taken to the vet and socialized and done any of this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, no vet really wanted to touch her. Well, they all wanted to do everything. And the best way to do with Mocha when it comes to taking her to the vet is give her a little shot in her tail end and let her go sleepy buys and get all the procedures that need to get done with her nails trimmed and her everything checked and everything. That's the best way to do it. Well, we had to start with this vet who said, let's give her this little sleeping pill before you come. Well, that did nothing. That was like water. So we ended up getting into the routine of putting a gentle leader on, a little bit snug, and she could still breathe and do all that kind of stuff, and taking her in the back entrance, putting her on the table. Everybody kind of holds her while the vet comes around and gives her the shot. And we've been doing that for ever since we've been going to this vet for 2 years. Well, the last time she was at the vet, and this has taken a 2-year process. The last time she was at the vet, they actually, after she started waking up, they let her kind of mosey around the vet's office and socialize with the vet techs and smell all around. Well, that's a huge accomplishment for Mocha. Well, this last time, and we're always nervous when we take her to the vet because it's like, the last time we took her to the vet, well, guess what? They were overpacked and they couldn't let us come back like we normally do and do our normal routine. They said, we'll go ahead and take her. She'll be fine. We won't put her to sleep right now, but we will in a little bit. And they took her back there and she did just beautifully. But this has taken 2 years. So I think we need to realize when we're trying to break down walls, this is not take a sledgehammer and go after them. Sometimes, and that's why I picked the brick wall when I did the thumbnail, sometimes we put brick on top of brick on top of brick. Some are looser, some are cemented down, and we have to sometimes take them off brick by brick. If we try to go with a sledgehammer, I don't think that we're going to do it as impactful and as well if we try to do it all at once. We're going to build those walls back even stronger than before. So I wanted to show you a little video of Mocha. This is Mocha being sweet Mocha because I'm a visual person and I really think that does happen or help. So this is little sweet Mocha. Hi, the Mochas. Hi, the Mochas. Hi, sweetheart. So there's a little Mocha cuteness, but she doesn't look like she's going to hurt anybody, does she? She looks like she's just peaceful and she's tilting her head and she looks so cute. Well, she's not in a situation where her little protective mode comes up and her little walls need to come up. Nobody's at the door ringing the doorbell. There's no dogs going across the and out walking around. There's no lawn men coming. There's nothing for her. She's in just a content mood. Now, trigger warning, because I did a video when we were taking her to the vet, because I want to show you all the contrast of, I think, what we do when we're in our own secure environments. We're like Mocha. We're tilting our head. We're just, we're happy. We're peaceful. But when we're outside and we got to put them walls up, or when we're around certain people or around an environment, we may stick those walls up and go, okay, nobody's going to get in here. I have to protect myself. And we may be in a situation where we certainly have had to do that. But I think that we have to realize that putting them walls up can be damaging to our own physical and mental well-being. And we need to work to get them down because we're losing out on so much when we build those walls. So a little trigger warning, just because I want to show you the difference. Now, this was Mocha in the car waiting to go into the vet. Go in there. Yeah, I know. You tell them all about it. You just tell them, Okay. Do you see the difference? Ears are perked up. She's got her eyes wide open. She's ready and she's going to bark. She's going to show the world, I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable. I'm putting my walls up because I've had to protect myself. So let's look at things that can damage. And I will put this thing I found down in there. 10 long-term emotional walls and understanding the 10 damages that can actually do to our bodies and due to our own mental well-being. And believe me, Mocha she was scared. And that's what she does. And that's what thankfully we have a vet that most. Allison, I love that you're lurking, but you popped your head up. Good for you. I'm glad. But that's why I wanted to show the contrast. She's scared. This is just fear. I'm fearful, I'm scared, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like this. So guess what? I'm gonna show the teeth. I'm gonna show you how mean I can be. And this dog wouldn't hurt a fly. She wouldn't. She's just a sweetheart. She's a marshmallow, but she's got to show the world I'm tough. So when we tend to put up those emotional walls, basically the wall is where it keeps our emotions. For whatever reason, we're we're subconsciously suppressing ourselves from expressing our own emotions. We're going to protect ourselves. We're going to put the walls up and we're going to protect ourselves. So um, realize that it's a way of us being safe. It's a way of us protecting ourselves because we've been hurt. But there are consequences in stacking those walls up. There's long-term things that can happen. Well, it does suppress our emotions. It suppresses our emotions. We're afraid of showing our emotions. Here's another key thing. Now, I have never struggled with drugs and alcohol, but I do struggle with with food. I will lean on food as a way of dealing with my emotional, it makes me feel better for the moment I'm doing it. It doesn't help after I'm over because I feel guilty for why did I do it. But when we're using any form of kind of food, drugs, alcohol, what are we doing? We're suppressing the emotion. We don't want to feel it. We want to cover it up. We don't want to sit in it. It's too much to sit in that emotion. My uncle was an alcoholic, and I have told my story on Surviving Together about things that happened between us. And I can tell you from someone who needed to go get help and process through those emotions, because he had a father who was an alcoholic. He had a father, my grandfather, that unalived himself in the house. He went through Vietnam as a first forward observer. He had some things that he certainly covered up. He put them walls up, but he acted very differently when he was sober to when he was under the influence of alcohol. Extremely different. There were things that he would not have thought about doing sober that he did under the influence. When Tommy says, "Listen, if I start using heroin, I'm going to steal your money and help you look for your wallet." It is so true. Things that people do underneath the influence of drugs and alcohol because they're suppressing those emotions they don't want to deal with. Let's cover them up, let's numb them because I don't want to get in there. I don't want to deal with them. So if we feel emotions, we suppress them. If we wanting something, we ignore it. If we're happy, we discard it. If we're angry, we don't show it. If you're anxious, we spin out of control. I love that. I think that's a great way to look at all those different emotions. And so we have to remember that the purpose of our walls are always to protect ourselves. We create the walls to stop the flow of emotions by not letting anything into out or in. That also means that by doing that, we're not allowing connection to happen. When the walls go up and I'm going to protect myself, then we're not allowing anybody to connect with us. If we are under the influence of drugs and alcohol, I can show the world, see, guess what? I'm just a mess up. I'm a screw up. See, I told you. Well, you know what? That's no way to live. My big chicken beagle. Something into my lap. Oh. And Nicole says, wow, that makes sense. Absolutely. So, on one hand, we've got to get the conversation going because we're trying to talk and afraid to talk at the same time. So we don't want to suppress those emotions. And using drugs and alcohol and food or whatever other addiction you can to escape doing that, you're suppressing diving into it. We suffocate our emotional needs. That's just, we're doing it. All of this reverts back to doing it with something. I think you're doing it with drugs, you're doing it with alcohol, you're doing it with food, whatever your addiction is, we are suffocating our emotional needs. When emotional walls are up, it means there's nothing going on, there's nothing going out, which means that we're suffocating our emotional needs. We have an emotional need to connect with people. We have an emotional need to be able to connect. But as long as we're underneath the influence of any kind of drug or alcohol or food or whatever addiction it is, we cannot connect. Because what does the addiction become? The addiction becomes the friend, not the connection points. The addiction becomes the friend, and that's what we want to try to work on. We don't know how to manage our emotions. Absolutely, don't we? We don't know how to we don't know how to manage our emotions, right? And that is so true when we're underneath the influence of drugs and alcohol, as well as building those walls. We don't know how to deal with them, so let's just build the walls and let's just use something that would help. When we suppress our emotion, we lose the experience of coming to connect with our emotions. Our experience with our emotions feel more and more foreign, especially if they're negative. So we need to realize that we sometimes don't know how to manage our emotions. Having a child with autism, it is very, very, it is extremely makes sense because I have a child that struggles with that. And I have been called too sensitive. And we heard that, oh, you're just too sensitive. Well, you know what? I was sensitive for a reason. I was made to be sensitive because I would raise a child that needed that little bit of sensitivity put in. And I needed to be more in tuned and to show her. And so we struggle with our emotions. Our willingness to allow our emotions out will help us get used to emotions in the long run. Sometimes feeling those emotions can be that we don't want to we don't want that, it's uncomfortable. We don't like to be uncomfortable. My house is at 70 degrees. If it went higher than about 75 in my house right now, I would be uncomfortable. I don't like that. I want to be cool. I don't want to be hot. The fan's on. I forget it. When it's too cold, I want to get blankets on or something. We live in a world where we're trying to make ourselves comfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, right? We don't like the feeling. We don't want it. We want it gone as quickly as possible. Well, I think that getting these walls down and getting to what is inside and getting to these emotions, we're stepping into an uncomfortable situation, and none of us like that. And I think, everything is right at your fingertips. Everything is this and that and so forth. And sometimes we need to sit in uncomfortable for a while to be able to deal with the emotions that sometimes we choose to just build those walls up for. We become self-blaming and self-critical, right? We're often so critical of ourselves or sometimes blaming. If we're isolated from the world, it is very likely that we have started to be self-critical because we have no idea what other people think of us. Before December of 2023, the boat became alive then because I found friends that totally got to know me and thought I was a really cool person. But until that point, boy, I thought I didn't like myself. Nobody wants to be my friend. I talk too much. I do this and do that. And I have friends now that just go, we just love you. We love your personality. We love who you are. But we tend to be so self-blaming and so self-critical of ourselves. My daughter was kind of going through a situation today and she called me, and I decided that it was going to be a time where I was not going to pat her on the tail back and say, oh, poor baby. And I did a little bit, but I also came in with, darling, you are saying things that I know are not true. You are coming so hard and down on yourself because you're not looking at what I know the truth is. Because she was in the midst of the situation. She was in the emotional storm. She couldn't look at the situation with clear glasses on. And I needed to be the one. Yes, yes, absolutely. I needed to be the one where I was sitting there going, guess what? I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's why we need friends around. That's why we need those connection points. And can I really encourage you that if you have a friend and they have told you some things that are in confidence, and they're telling you things, do yourself a favor. Consider most of the connection points that you have, and that that people are telling you things. Consider to say, you know what? I am not going to Mom, I can't get off right now. All right. Man, Christina's waiting to talk to you. Sorry about that. I anyway, we have to realize, gotta get my train of thought back for a minute. We have to realize that that's what we're here. But if a friend is telling you something that is they're going into whatever it is, just realize that unless they tell you it's shareable, you need to not share it. We need connection points that we can pretty much be very trustworthy in. And I think that if we don't, this is another way that we tend to build the walls up. Because if we don't trust somebody, then after a while, we build those walls up because we have just sat there going, you know what? Let's build them walls up. We got to build them up because I don't trust this person or that person. And so I don't have anybody to talk to. So I've got to put those protective walls up. So if you have somebody that you have connected with and have built a friendship, just realize that, you know what, they may have had times in their lives where they have had friends that say they're friends and then they go stab them in the back. So if they're telling you things and they're in your five, realize that unless they're telling you things and say you can share it, you need to go. They need to be able to trust that, because that will help them break down their walls so that they can tell people things that they're really struggling with and they're really having trouble with. So, we have to be careful not to become self-blaming or self-critical. That's what we tell ourselves, but the truth is we can be loved just as we are. However, it's the one thing to understand, but another one to believe in by your heart. We know it in our mind, but we often in our heart tell us something very different. We are trapped in the past. How many people go back to the past and go, well, if I hadn't done that, well, I made a mistake doing this. Well, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this and I did that. Growing up, I thought I was a female Charlie Brown from the Peanuts. I also thought nobody would like me unless I was useful to them. Parents did not treat me that way, so I now wonder why. Well, you know what? I'm sorry they did that for you, Allison. I really am. Hi Alfonso. I can tell you this, and I'm going to say this because I know, and I'm not saying I had a dad that was could be very verbally abusive. Um, but he was a loving dad and he loved me, and I know that. But I did really have to look at his past, because his past, he had a really difficult upbringing. He had an upbringing with a mother who was bipolar. He had a father, they got divorced. Um, and high seventh, they got divorced, and they ended up when he was 6, and my grandmother remarried for the third time. And then we had and then his father said, bye, I'm gone. And he felt very abandoned by his dad. And so, you know what, those emotions. Oh, where did that okay, now I get it. Okay, Allison. My parents were truly wonderful. That's what I don't understand. That's why I don't understand, where did it come from? Okay. So, the same thing is that my parents were amazing, but self-confidence was still a stickler. So, but but I know for my dad, I can realize that his past really affected the way he lived his life. He dealt with anxiety. He put his expectations all the way up for here for me that were almost in cost um incapable of being able to do it. I understand, darling. Um, I may have to cut this short live in a minute. Can you give me please 5 more minutes and I wrap this up today? I love you, honey. Um, so I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. I will be off here very soon. I know. um, Mom, it doesn't stop right when they're adult daughters. So I can't. And then number 5 is trapped in the past. So we are trapped in the past, and we are trapped in the past. And sometimes it's hard to get past that. I know for my dad it was, and he dealt with anxiety and he dealt with issues and he dealt with all that kind of stuff. And it made it really, really difficult to kind of get through that. And so we have to be careful that we're not trapped in the past when we're building those walls up. Um, when we think about it, we get depressed. We replay the endless pain of the memory like a broken record, and then we become more depressed, and our self-esteem sinks down when we build those walls up. Hi, Wally. If only humanizing the person who mistreated them and consider their own unfortunate backstory might help a person to move forward for the sense of resentment. Yes, absolutely. I can agree with that. It can't help deepen relationships with other people. When we get them walls up, forget trying to have a relationship with anybody, right? Because boy, we got to be like Mocha, right? We got to be putting them walls up. We're going to the vet. Let's get in and you know, I don't want to do that. Let's not put them walls. We got to put them walls up because I've been hurt way too many times. That's why it is so important when you make a connection, especially here and especially the boat. Really value that because you've got a lot of people coming from a lot of places that are really, really hard places and they're difficult places. And we need to be able to come in and help them so that they realize that we can be a safe place. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, my parents also never seemed to lack self-esteem, self-confidence, although not Snoopy or anything. My sister never seemed to have issues with self-confidence. It's just me. I think it can't always come from the parents. I think sometimes it's the kids. Matrix says, I've been single for 10 years and counting. But we need connection and we need friendships. And we need that. And it doesn't always have to come from a relationship. Sometimes it can come from friends. And that's why those connection points are so, so important. 7, there's no hope, right? If we're in building those walls, what's the hope of it? I might as well tear them down because you know what? Nobody wants to be my friend. Nobody wants to get to know me. I'm just going to show them I'm no good, right? So there's no hope. When we are beyond a wall for a long time, we see no way out. We start losing hope for anything else. So we feel starved, but no one is coming to help us. Nothing is changing. That's why I love that saying by Albert Einstein or Martin Luther King Jr. I think, and it said, you know what? You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Sometimes you just have to sit on that first step, and then you get to the rest of the staircase, right? And then you can see the entire staircase. But sometimes it's one step and then you sit down and then you take the next step and you sit down and you take the next step and you sit down, and trying to take these walls apart, you know, taking those walls apart can be helpful. I know, Allison, for me, I I had a very difficult time in school and I thought nobody wanted to be my friend. Why bother, right? That's what I'm doing, making my friends and seeing what happens. Not looking for it. I think that's the key. I can't make it happen. I've tried. You know what, seventh Matrix, we're just glad to have you. But I know for me, it was my friends. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends that teased me. Why bother? Nobody wants to be my friend. And then that tape goes running in your head and those walls get built because you know what? I don't even want to bother. I might as well build up them walls because I don't want to show who I am because I don't want to get hurt inside. We become emotionally indifferent when we make it a habit of not showing our emotions, when we don't think there's hope, when we don't think anyone else understands how we feel, when it's hard to take a step to reach out to anyone, when we struggle with not liking ourselves as a person, when we're negative on our own needs, it's hard not to be emotionally indifferent when you go through all those things. There's a lot of reasons for feeling indifferent, but all possibility changes that. But all the possibility changes that you can possibly happen is in our own inside mentally. If we become, well, why bother? Why bother trying? Why bother giving up drugs and alcohol? Why bother doing it? Nobody cares about me. All these tape. Why bother? Why bother? I might as well eat this ice cream, right? Oh, Don loves someone's for sure. I'm sorry you're struggling, but those ones are for you. Hugs, hon. Um, but why bother? I might as well eat the whole tub of ice cream. Nobody cares if I eat it, right? So we become emotionally indifferent. I have, and for those that don't know, Kristen Melinda, which she's like a sister to me, y'all. Y'all know her, our Kristen Melinda. We all love her. We're like sisters, honest to goodness. And we did a live last night. I sent her a little gift. She unboxed her little gifts. And we got off the little live and we spent an hour and a half talking. And I will tell you that the reason why we've connected the way we are is because I've raised a special needs child. She is raising a special needs child. And I'm understanding things in ways that maybe a lot of people wouldn't, because I've been there and done that. She has one child, I have one child. And so we're connecting in a manner that is really supportive of each other. She's supporting me in ways and I'm supporting in her other ways because she needs that. When we started our channel, I said, I don't want anybody to be alone, especially going down this rabbit hole and this path. It can be such a lonely path, but it doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be. Emotionally tired from putting up the walls all the time. It takes energy to do this. Just like Spanx, or Captain Calhoun Spanx talked about putting it tired, when resentment can be exhausting. Well, so can putting up those emotional walls all the time. Putting up walls take energy. It takes much energy trying to be strong all the time. We've heard the saying, men don't cry, right? Men don't cry. Oh, hogwash. They do. They need to cry. They need to let it out. Emotions happen and we need to show it. And if we try to do this, if we try to be, control our own environment, it backfires. It's like, I wish that Mocha could understand that we're just trying to help her. She's got to get her shots done. She's got to get her nails trimmed. If she would just please let us do that, if we could just have a 30 minutes to just talk to her and let her know we're not trying to hurt her, but we're doing this because this is for her own good. This is for her own good. This is what she needs. She doesn't see it. She just sees, I got to be tough and I got to be strong and I've got to be this. No, you don't have to be. And so we don't have to be. We can be vulnerable. We can do an ugly cry if we need to. That's what lifeboats here. That's why all these ripples are happening. And this is why our channel at Blessed to Crochet has been happening. That's why we've started Lighthouse Mondays, so that you guys can just come in and the magic doesn't happen with the person in the seat. It happens in the chat. Okay. And that's why we've started Lighthouse Monday, because we wanted people to connect with each other and we wanted people to do that. And it is so, so important. So, to be honest, the people around us want to see us getting better. They don't want to see us struggling all the time if we have the correct support system around us. And this is why trying to do this in with a peer support is really good, and journaling and all that kind of stuff. But don't forget about the resource of going to therapy. Going to therapy and talking to somebody is not a source of anything, but is a source of strength. Okay. It's a source of being able to connect with each other and be able to, or not connect with each other, but a place to talk, a place to be able to put down these walls. And if you need somebody to go with you to a couple counseling sessions till you get comfortable, ask somebody. Ask somebody to go with you. There's no shame in asking for help. It's not a weakness, it's an absolute strength. We believe that the world hates us. They don't. They just dislike us. If you're not with me, you're against me, because if you like me, then you would be on the same team. This is a false belief. The truth is, most of the time, do people actually dislike you? Probably not. Some people probably don't even realize you exist. Not because they're selfish, not because they don't care, not because they're trying to exclude you. They're just trying to make sure that their lives don't collapse on them. Most people actually have more problems to deal with than it seems. So we have to realize that if we all wrapped our problems up in pretty little packages, right? And we all laid all our packages out, you better go pick up your own package. Because you know what's in there. It could look all nice and pretty and it'll look all kind of whatever it needs to be, right? All nice and pretty and all that kind of stuff. But you know what's in your package. You don't know what's in somebody else's package. And so sometimes we don't realize all the stuff that's going on. Maybe somebody's had a really bad day, or somebody's they're just struggling with something. We want those relations, but emotional walls are truly, truly damaging. And sometimes it's not necessarily that anybody dislikes us. I think hate's kind of a strong word for people feeling isolated. This seems like a disconnection from the society, because uh, there's pretty much, two societies. I think sometimes we often realize that sometimes it's a personality conflict. I there's not a person, I've never met a stranger in my life. I love everybody. But there's some people that I can pour my energy into to try to connect with and do all this kind of stuff. And you know what? They're a wonderful person, but just the personalities don't connect. Some more than others. I've had bosses that, personalities were just opposite. So let's think that it's not necessarily the world dislikes us. It could just be your personalities just don't mesh well. And there's so many people on the boat that we can connect with. Find those people that you connect with. The people that you don't connect with, you know what? Don't spend your time. Focus on the connections that you made, that the people that are coming together connect with you, and really, really, um, really strive for those connections. And I think if we're looking at any of this, we're looking at the connections that need to be made. Now, I would like to stay on here for about 20 more minutes, but I need to go be a mama for a minute. So what I think I'm going to do, because I want you all to connect. I want you all to realize that all these walls, we got to bring them down, and we got to help each other to bring them down. So I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes, okay, just allowing you all to just connect. Just bring Lighthouse Monday to you for about 20 minutes. Those that want to stay here can stay here. Those that need to talk, I want you to connect within the chat. And I'll come back after, close to the 20 minutes. But we're going to practice putting down them walls, right? We're going to practice helping each other. We're going to practice connecting with each other. Well, I go be a mama for a few minutes and let you all just really focus on doing that in the chat. That's why we started Lighthouse Monday. So I'll do a little bit of Lighthouse Monday right now because I think it's so fitting for here. It gives me an opportunity for you guys to continue helping each other and connecting within the chat. And I get to go be a mama for a few minutes and see what's going on. But again, let's practice helping each other and supporting each other and bringing down those walls. And I will be back in about 20 minutes. Okay. I'll be back at the top of the hour, but go ahead and connect and I'll put some stuff up for you to look at, but keep talking to each other. Keep connecting within the chat and I will be back. Welcome to Lighthouse Monday. Probably wondering what Lighthouse Monday is all about. Well, it was started for the basis of making connections. The magic doesn't happen with a person sitting in the seat and has the microphone. The connections and the magic happens within the chat. So there will not be any live host to host this, even though it will be live. It will be pre-recordings of lighthouses, me popping in with little nuggets of information throughout the stream, and a real opportunity for you to connect with other people and also find some amazing channels that you can also connect with as well. There'll be channels dropped, for instance, like our moderators, which we are so thankful for. The gentleman that donated the music for this, Alfonso, as well as some other channels that we have really grown to love and also been able to start making collaborations with. So if you come in and you are a content creator, we ask that you start making connections within the chat so that you can start making those friends. And if we feel so inclined, we will certainly drop your link so it can make it easy for people to go over and check out your channel. But the purpose really is for you to be a beacon of light, to make those connection points. This doesn't take away from the ability to maybe go out to lunch and go grab a cup of coffee with somebody or go to your local church and have those connections, those physical connections happening. But I know there were times in my life when that was not a possibility. I was going through too much. And this would have been a great tool in my toolbox to have in order to build and have those connections happening. So we really hope that you take advantage of that. You will also see our Facebook group, the Lighthouse Beacons, because we all can be beacons of light and we all can make those connections, and creativity as well is all within us. So we hope that you will come and join that group. That is a safe place. But if at any point in time anybody comes to that group and says, can you please turn the lighthouse on? We certainly will do that if we're able to, so that those connections can happen in a place that people can come and talk during the good times and also be there as we can help each other weather the difficult times. Connection really, for me, became a huge turning point in 2023 when I was going through a difficult time. And I have made some tremendous friends. So please also check out the Lifeboat, which we're blessed to be ripples of as well. So enjoying this time. I will be in the chat, or my mom will be in the chat, talking with you and connecting, as well as just enjoying the beautiful music and the beautiful lighthouses. Thank you so much for coming to Lighthouse Monday. And I hope that you will enjoy this time of connection, and we'll see you in the chat. All right, thank you for just a moment while I handle that. Um, anyway, I hope that gives you a little idea of what like Lighthouse Monday is and what we're trying to accomplish about that. And I saw some stuff happening within the chat, but I really hope that people will come and really do exactly what's happening here, because I really do believe that it is such a way of being able to break down those walls that we all put up. Um, it is, we are here for each other. We're can be amazing disco balls. Um, I've heard my that expression too. That we're amazing disco balls, right? That we can be broken pieces, but we can be shining lights, right? Um, I love this phrase too. I can find it. Do I have it on here? Yes. I think sometimes we need to remember this. When you are having a friend who's going through a personal storm, instead of being a weatherman and spreading the news, try being an umbrella and covering them with love. I think sometimes we forget that. We don't always have to fix the problem. If somebody has built walls, we cannot knock them down for them. They have to knock them down themselves. But we can be there as a support system and an umbrella that will cover them so that we can love them. So, you know what? We need to remember this. We need to bring our umbrella and say, listen, I'm just going to cover you, that, you're loved and I care about you. And what can I do to help you? Sometimes we think that we need to come in and just help them solve their problems. It's not necessarily what we need to do. We need to come in and just stick up that umbrella and say, I'm here for you. Somebody cares. Somebody cares about you, and somebody wants to be there to help you. Hi, Zola. Somebody wants to be there to help you. This is what it's all about. That's why the peer support system is so important. That is why we have to be there for each other. That's what the premise of the lifeboat is. it's changed into that. It's become that as a peer support. You don't have to be somebody that is recovering from drugs and alcohol. And if you are and you want to have help with that, please reach out to the lifeboat, because please don't stop any of those substances, without being under any kind of medical supervision. It really can be life threatening. But we can come in here and try to understand those that are struggling with that. I know for myself, my uncle, who was an alcoholic, and I've had other relatives that were an alcoholic. You know what? And dealt with drugs. I understand them better because I've been in the lifeboat. I think sometimes we need education and we need to learn about, that we may not understand. Learning is power is knowledge. And, there was a saying that I did with the 31 tips that boost your mental health. And it told about, holding in an untold story. We all have untold stories within us. But the saddest thing is not being able to express them and tell them, and being able to share them. Because in those, we can really learn a lot. If we don't make a mistake, we don't learn from it. We have to try things new, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But if we have an untold story, nobody sits here suffering in silence. This is a safe place. So is the lifeboat, a place to dump. That's what Lighthouse Mondays is for, to just connect and be there during the good times and during the storms. We have to have that. And this isn't a replacement, y'all, for connections out in the world. That's not the replacement for that. The replacement, this is just something that can be added. This needs to be added within your toolbox. These connection points in this YouTube world needs to be added to your toolbox, because that's where the connections happen. And when you're trying to unbox these emotions and these walls that have been built up, remember this too as well. Pick your favorite card. We use the trunk a lot here, and it's one of my new favorite things too, is to be able to do is pick your favorite card. Now, those know I'm an Elvis fan. I love the Elvis, so I picked the pink Cadillac. But take your car with a trunk, open it up. When you've started to dismantle these walls, sometimes you may have to take that emotion or that scenario and put it in the trunk and take a key and unlock the trunk, right? And put them in there and lock back the trunk and say, I'm done with that. I may not open that for another month, but for right now, it's undone. It's in there, and I've got the keys, and I'm putting them away. And then when you go back and you go, you know what? Let me see if I can deal with them. If you start open that trunk and you're getting a little anxious, not time to open it yet. And it may be needed to be opened when you're in front of a therapist or in front of a friend, or you're journaling about it enough before you can open it and really deal with it. So think about the trunk in your head. Think, okay, this may be a time for me to put these things in a trunk, because I just may not be able to deal with them outside of that. So remember, you have the ability to place those things in a trunk and say, they're not getting dealt with today. And here's kind of something else that I did the other day, and I really, really love this saying. And I thought it kind of filters into today as well, because I think that we don't realize that we can remember that sometimes the struggles and the things and the walls that we've built up are there for, they've happened for, there can something good be out of the difficult times in our life. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, no suffering, no struggle, no loss. They have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep love and concern. Beautiful people don't don't just happen, right? If you think about um, the glass, oh, I love watching glass being made. Well, what is it made out of? It's made in a process of heat. They take the glass and it's all melted, and they turn it on this thing and they cool it down and they heat it back up again, and they take it out and they mold it and then they put it back in the heat. It's constantly going through this cycle of getting cooled off and then putting back in the heat and being molded and back and forth, because sometimes when we're in the heat of the moment, that's when sometimes we really grow. And sometimes these walls that have got to be taken down have to be brick by brick. I don't think we'll ever, sweet Mocha as she is, I don't think we'll ever totally get her to where she would have been if we had gotten her from puppy time. If she had known love from day one in the way that we give her love, she'd be a very, very different dog. But where she was when we first got her, she was very anxious. She was having accidents in the house. Her stomach, she was having a lot of digestive problems because of all that she had been through. She has come a long way since the first time we've had her. We've had her through training and we've done all that. But there's some things that she may never be able to get through, in the sense of being able to not have those walls up. And I think that we need to have those walls up. We also need to have boundaries. And I think that that's a great other discussion, is what's the difference between having the walls up and having boundaries? I have a relative of mine who has decided to disconnect from our family. She's not in Scientology, but they've disconnected from us. It's very sad and it's horrible. And it just breaks our heart. And if they came back in the family, we would love them, and we would talk to them, and we would just treat them wonderfully. But you know what? I'm telling you what, my walls will be up for a while. They be up, and my boundaries are going to be very clear, because it's not going to happen again. You've done it once, you've done it twice. I love you, but you're going to come back. But you're going to come back under what I'm going to tell you I'm comfortable with. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that we can put boundaries up. If we've been hurt multiple times, then you know what? We can, and we need to sometimes put them boundaries up and put them up, so that we are saying that this is as far as in my comfort zone as I can get. And Matrix says, my dad told me early on that it doesn't matter how often you fall. It matters that you get up one more time and then you stumble. Absolutely. And remember, Admiral Tommy said, you know how you make your comfort space, your comfort, circle bigger? You step out of it and you grow that just a little bit bigger. And then you grow it just a little bit bigger, and you grow it just a little bit bigger. That's what we're doing. So let's help each other break down those walls. And I'm really going to encourage everybody that is here and on the boat, when we're in the boat and the Ripples links are dropping, go over to their channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the Lifeboat. Make sure you subscribe to those Ripples, because this is a great resource for everybody. This is an added benefit. This is icing on the cake, right? We're getting different perspectives from different people. And that can be a real help, because there may be something out of this that you're able to pull out that maybe you're not able to pull out of something else. So you know what? Those are really, really important. If you have an opportunity, go, run a couple of those Ripples shows for them that maybe you haven't seen. They're packed full of a lot of wonderful information. And there may be something that you can pull out of that. And that way you're also supporting them. You're just showing them, you know what? Thank you for all you're doing. Being able to ripple off the Lifeboat for us is a way of giving back, because I feel like I can never give back to the Lifeboat what they've given me. I have dear, dear friends and connections that mean the world to me. And so if I'm able to do this and I'm able to help out, I've considered a great honor and a great privilege to be able to do so. So, I really hope that you will, just come and support those ripples when they're placed and their links are placed. Go over and just make sure you're subscribed and just give them a little bit of love. Just maybe watch a couple of their shows for them. It's just a way of saying thank you. Thank you for just doing your little part to make this world a little bit better. And let's help each other. If we're struggling, let's not struggle in silence, y'all. Let's struggle together. Let's get through it together. If we help somebody else, that's a great way of maybe in the process, not only are we helping somebody else is bringing down them walls, but we may be finding out through the process, right? That we're also helping maybe take down some of our own walls, you know? And we don't have to be perfect. We just need to be here to know that this world is not full of hands that hurt, but hands of love. And I can tell you from watching Mocha over the past 2 years, a lot of love has gone into that dog. And you know what? It really has shown a huge difference. And we don't need to look at the world to show our teeth and we can feel comfortable and reassured that we can come into this world and into here with lots of love and caring about other people and letting them feel like they're not by themselves, making sure they feel like they're not alone. And that's what we're here for. That's what these ripples are all about. That's what the lifeboat is there for. So go connect with somebody today. Go over to the Facebook group. There's the Discord group with the lifeboat. Um, you know, I have the Lighthouse Beacons. Go over and start connecting, making those friends, making sure that if somebody is struggling, like I loved it that Don was kind of going through something and you're in our prayers. And I said, listen, you need to reach out to me. Here you go. Let's start helping each other. That's how we're going to truly help ourselves too. And, let's just come together. It really it can make such a huge difference. And I know that just looking at some of these the article about these walls, I just saw, what, some of these walls have come down for me since I have really made connection such an important part of my life. I really have. I run to it. If I'm going to be thinking about mint chocolate chip ice cream and I'm going through an emotional time, guess what? I'm going to run to connection first. Hi, Maya. I'm going to run to connection first. If I'm struggling with something, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to my connection. You do not have to live this world suffering in silence and numbing yourself up and building those walls, because there are people in this world that will say, I'm here. I'm here with loving hands and a loving heart because I care. Because somebody else cared for me. It all starts with that. It becomes a ripple effect and it just keeps going. Doesn't it? So let's do this thing we call life, but dang on it. Let's do it together and let's get in when somebody's just, having difficulty taking down a wall. Let's go in there, right? And let's help them deconstruct it a little bit and help them lift those bricks off the wall. Because truly, underneath all of that, underneath all the layers and all the walls, I know for a fact my uncle, who's no longer with us, and he struggled with alcohol for the majority of his life. He never allowed anybody to see who he really was. He covered up with drugs, he covered up with alcohol, and he covered up with laughter. But I know inside he was an amazing, smart individual. Good. Tearing down that wall, sorry, but not sorry. I know that he was an amazing individual. He was. But didn't want anybody to see it. He didn't want anybody to see all the pain he was going through. See, this little dog named Mocha, I know who she really is. She's a marshmallow. She's a sweetheart. It looks in her eyes and you just fall right in love with her. She's a sweetheart. That's who the real Mocha is. And I'm very fortunate that we have her so that she knows that she's so loved. So let's just take care of him, just leave on a good note, right? And show you who I know Mocha really is underneath all of that protection. Hi, Demokas. Hi, Demokas. Hi, sweetheart. See, somebody cared enough to see who Mocha really was. That was us. Unintentionally, she's a foster fail, but we took the time to get to know her. Now it's our battle to some degree for the world to get to know who Mocha is outside of all the barking. Let's have the world see who we are, but let's do it together. Let's do it as a team. Let's do it as a unit. Let's show the world what the lifeboat is all about. Yep, there are a bunch of people that made mistakes and have not always had the easiest path, but man, they're rock stars. They're disco balls. Don't forget that. Don't forget you are a shining disco ball. Let's show the world that. Right? Let's show them. Let's show them. Yeah, maybe broken, but yeah, we're disco balls. And we're going to shine bright. And we're going to show the world what the lifeboat can do. And we're going to stand proud and tall in who we are. Let's show the world. You're not alone. You're valued, you're important, and we're glad you're here. And nobody's doing this boat alone. Nobody. We're all in this lifeboat together, right? So I thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope. Thank you all for sticking with me through a little bit of stuff. And I will talk to everybody later. Go out there, be a shining disco ball. Right? Let's help each other. Have a beautiful day. Have a blessed day. And stay connected, you all. It truly can make a huge difference. Bye-bye.